So welcome back, everybody. We are going to continue now with the summit. Just had a little short break to get cups of tea and do what we need to do. And we've had a couple of brilliant speakers already today. And such a privilege to be here sharing this summit and these amazing experts in their fields who have come here today to share with you all. I think it was pointed out that it really is helpful for speakers if you put your cameras on. We just want to be able to see you. And as Paola said earlier today, we don't care if you're eating or, make sure you're dressed, please. That's the only thing I do ask. But, really, it's really lovely when we can see you, see people who are here. And actually, for the speakers, it really makes a difference. So I'm going to unmute you, Anna. You unmute? Let you know when you're there. Should be able to hear you now.
Yes, hello.
Yes, there you are. Okay, excellent. Fantastic. Well, this is Anna Thellmann, everybody. And I'm going to introduce you, Anna, to everybody. So Anna is here today. She's actually in China. Isn't that right, Anna? Today you're in China. So hello.
Yeah, it's 6:30 here in the evening.
Is it really? Wow, amazing, amazing. So the title of Anna's talk is Masturbation and Empowerment of Self. So Anna is a sexual intimacy coach. She operates from China, as I've said, and her focus lies in guiding women to get their orgasm back. That's if they've lost it or found it, I guess, if they've never had it before, by getting out of their head and into their knickers, she says. She has helped many people shift their mindset from self-sabotaging to self-empowerment. And she integrates various different approaches, psychological theories, NLP, and brings us all together in the methods that she uses. And she's had 100% success rate with the people that she's helped. And she's a speaker talking about emotional health. She's an emotional health specialist. And she's currently, as I say, based in Shenyang in China. So I'd like to welcome you, Anna, to join us all. And then I've got some questions, actually, that I want to ask you, but I thought I'd just let you introduce yourself first of all.
Well, thank you very much for the introduction. What else to say? You covered it beautifully. So yeah, I live here in China. I moved here 3.5 years ago, and I set up my business. And here's where I discovered my passion for sexual intimacy, to help women with their sexuality. So I say women come to me if they want sex and don't have it. That's where I can help them.
Well, that's really great. And I think that it would also be worth just saying here to everybody that, for those men who are here today, that this is going to be a really helpful topic for you as well, because we want you to learn about us. I mean, it's a two-way process. And, coming on later is Michael Charming, who's going to be talking about, he's a man and he's going to be talking about sexuality. So I think it's really fantastic that you are brave enough, actually, to speak about this subject. And I wanted to ask you some questions. So, for example, do you have a masturbation story, Anna?
Yes, I do. And before I share it with you, I just want to say masturbation is for all of us. So, and self-empowerment is for all of us as well. So there is no distinction between for women or for men. This is for everyone. But yes, I do have my masturbation story. What actually brought me into becoming a sexual intimacy coach? Because over the years, and I mean, I'm 43 now, I'm masturbating for, let's say, almost 30 years. And over the years, I just developed this limiting belief that when I masturbate, I need to have this big, bold fantasy. And it has to become bigger and bolder every time. So I would prepare in advance, like what fantasy will I use? What will I do? How will it go? And I would lie down. I would start masturbating, and I would focus so hard on my fantasy to make that very vivid, to get it that I'm get going. Yeah, that's how you say it. Sorry. Yeah, so that it gets me going. And what I didn't do was the connection to my body. The only connection to my body that I felt while I was concentrating on my fantasy was that I felt a lot of tension in my legs, felt a lot of tension in my butt cheeks. So I was cramping up, and I was desperately trying to get that orgasm. And then when I finally reached the orgasm, it was more the relief of the pain from the cramping, so that I could move my toes again, and like, oh, I can relax my legs now. So it wasn't the enjoyment that it's supposed to be. It was more like a chore that you need to finish because you have the urge to do it. So now you need to finish it. And it was one morning last year when I got out of the shower, and I had this thought. All of these techniques that I use with my clients, they work so beautifully in every part of their lives. Why wouldn't they work in the bedroom? Why wouldn't they work with me masturbating? Why wouldn't they help me make that enjoyable so that I get my orgasm back? So that's business. Yeah, I went to the bedroom, I lied down, I picked 2 tools that I thought they would work here, they would be great. And I started masturbating, and I didn't have a fantasy. I just felt my body, the sensations of my body, and there was no tension, there was no cramping. And it didn't take me long to just have a very, how do you say, a fulfilling orgasm from tip to toe. My whole body was tingling, and it was like a warm water just flowing over my body. And I felt so amazing and relaxed and calm and happy, which I didn't do before.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, it's interesting because we've just had Peter on as a speaker, and he's been talking about Qigong and physical aspects of that and energy in the body. And I'm certainly, my experience of orgasm can be, not always, but can be very much, that it does actually have a similar, it can have a similar effect to some kind of energy exercises, like, you know, disciplines like Qigong or yoga or some other things like that, in terms of how it moves in my energy around in my body. But so I just think it would also really be helpful, actually, Anna, to if you could possibly explain, well, first of all, is it possible for everybody to have orgasm? Do you think that?
No. There are people who can't have an orgasm. That's physical, physically from their body, that they can't have it. They don't feel, or they might have any other issue in their body. But it's definitely empowering, or people, if they could, they should do it.
Yeah. And do you think that, I mean, what would you say? Is there some sort of general advice that you can give to people about how they can learn to pleasure themselves?
Yes. So if someone is really new to it, and there's surprisingly women all ages who haven't masturbated yet. And the first thing that I would advise is get a pocket mirror, squat down naked, and have a look at your vagina. Have a look what you're actually dealing with. Because if you're a regular masturbator and haven't had a look at your vagina, I urge you to do it. Because what we forget is that we have this about 10 centimeters of pleasurable zone that we can use for our pleasure, that also our partner can use for our pleasure. But If we never saw it, we don't see it, we don't know what's out there, what's down there. So have a look at it and see, what is it? And then just try it out. There is no right or wrong way to do it. There is, I try it this way, I do it with this finger, I do it with that pressure, I do it with this movement, I do it with the other movement, whatever floats your boat, whatever feels good to you. And I sometimes hear it that women say, don't know if I ever had an orgasm while masturbating. Let me tell you, if you don't know, you haven't had one. So try again, try something different. And if you want to be sure to get an orgasm, there is a 99%, I would say, chance to have an orgasm when you use vibrations. So that's why there are vibrators out there, not just the one that you can insert into your vagina, but there are the bunny ears or the little, don't know what they are called, but there are many toys out there that vibrate, and vibration will get you to the orgasm.
Okay. Somebody's just put a question in the chat, actually, which is, how is it possible to masturbate without fantasy?
It is possible because you focus on your body. You don't need a fantasy, or you fantasize about your body or about doing it. But in general, you don't need fantasy. The fantasy is there to start you getting in the mood and to just help you. It's the support. But usually you have the urge for sexual pleasure because you've been stimulated by something else. And then your mind kicks in and says, oh, I think I could do this. Oh, this is a nice fantasy. And then you go ahead and masturbate with the fantasy. But you don't need it to reach an orgasm. When you focus on your sensations solidly, you can reach an orgasm.
Yeah, that's certainly been my experience actually too. I actually have a question. So I don't know whether other people might relate to this, but when I was a teenager, I had suffered various, forms of trauma and abuse actually in my childhood. And so what I did was I used to think about that and masturbate. Because I think what was going on was that it was actually a release from the pain that I was experiencing. So I used to do that. I used to kind of go over what was going on that was making me so tense and frustrated, and I would masturbate thinking about that, and then I would feel better. However, what I later kind of went on to think was actually, because I think what happened is that I kind of got stuck in that. I kind of started to associate sexuality and masturbation with that abuse, actually, because I was masturbating, thinking about it. So I had to then kind of consciously sort of wean myself off that and actually then start to think about, pleasing situations in my fantasies. So I don't know what you've got to share about that. I'm sure you've come across other people who've had this kind of a thing, but it might be helpful to share for other people on the call today.
Yes. So I had a client. She was sexually abused as well. And when I met her, she didn't have any physical intimacy at all. She didn't have a partner because she said, I don't want anyone around me, near me, to touch me, to be physically close to me. And she also didn't want to get close to people, to her friends. She stood next to them, but she always tried to keep her distance. And when we started working together, I used masturbation as a tool to reconnect with her body. So that because you have then this safe space, you have the full control. There is no one else there. And similar to you, she had the association, my body, pain, that trauma, and we wanted to get away from that. And because our body, what our brain does, it connects situations with our emotions. So, and what you did, you then tried to override the connection with pain and situation with pain and happy, or endorphins, with something positive, which then got too strong, and then you had to release it again. But with her, we tried that as well, but we did it a bit differently. So we tried to just reconnect her body, that her body gets positive experiences again, sexual experiences. And with masturbation, it was an easy way for her to just start touching her breasts and then go down to her vagina to figure out what's there, what do I like, what don't I like, having the control over the whole situation, and putting slowly or reconnecting that my body can feel pleasure. It doesn't have to be that pain and the memory on what happened to her. And
yeah.
kind
of like making love to yourself.
Yeah. And so when it's a good love, it's like the first time. When the first time is crappy, you think, don't know if I want to do that again. So it's understandable, and only by doing it again and having a positive experiences with it, you will find enjoyment in it. And that's what we did with her. So to have these little moments of pleasure and happiness with her body, it gave her the empowerment. That's where the empowerment comes in, because she now felt more confident to be closer to people, she's not there yet to have a boyfriend or even talk to a man, have a date with a man. But she feels more comfortable with herself, and she opens up. Her posture has changed tremendously.
Right. Gosh. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly, in a way, what my experience actually was too. I mean, I definitely know that for myself, I was carrying an awful lot of negativity around my whole sexuality was so kind of seeped in so covered up, actually. And I had to go through a massive process to uncover it, which is why it's kind of interesting, to meet you, who's now helping, women with that as well. So we've got a question here, Anna, if that's okay with you. Can I open it up to somebody for a question? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. So can you unmute Garrett, Alexandra? Or maybe I can. Let's just see. I've got it. I've done it, I think. Garrett, you're unmute. You're being asked to unmute so that you could ask Anna a question.
Hello.
Yeah, hi there.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just wondering about conserving sexual energy. Because I feel like as a man I have to conserve, so otherwise I feel like less confident if I release, or yeah.
Good question, actually. Thank you for that. Thank you. Yeah. Do you want to? I mean, I'll just say also that coming on a little bit later in the day is Michael Charming, who is talks a lot about male orgasm. So you might also want to ask him that question. But Anna, do you have anything you want to say towards that? Okay, you are being asked, we muted you by mistake, so you should be able to unmute now.
Okay, I didn't know that I got muted, sorry. So just to make it clear that I understood correctly, is the question if conserving sexual energy means not having an orgasm, not masturbating?
You need to go back to Garrett, but let's just see. So Garrett, could you like to just come back?
Yeah, because when, Garrett, just a question, so when you masturbate and when you come, you feel less confident, is that correct?
Yeah, or there's like a drain in energy, so I feel like I have to conserve it.
Okay, so my research, I've done a bit of research in that area, and it's actually recommended for men to masturbate 21 times a month because it's good for you. And it makes you tired, yes, because the benefits of masturbation is it helps you sleep better because it calms you down. But on the other hand, it also makes you happy because all these endorphins get boosted through your body. But particularly for men, it's recommended to do that. If you masturbate, let's say 21 times a month, it reduces the chance of prostate cancer by a third. And it's also very helpful to last longer, because the more you practice, the better you get. And the other point was it helps you to prevent erectional dysfunction later on in life. So when you say you lose the energy, that's very common. I do it before I go to sleep so I can sleep better because it calms me down. Does that answer your question?
I think it probably does answer your question, Garrett. And it's also makes me want to ask a question too. So what are the rate? Are there equivalent rates for how many times a month it's good for a woman to masturbate?
Well, interestingly, if as a woman you want to look younger, because we had that before with Peter, like the biological age and the energetical age, I call it now. A study has found that if women masturbate at least 3 times a week, they look younger. Then
love that.
Yeah, because what happens is when you masturbate, all these hormones, or when you get an orgasm, let's put it that way. Masturbation is great, but it gives you a 99% chance of an orgasm. So when you have that orgasm, your body is flooded with all these hormones. And we have also these killer cells that kill the viruses. And we have an increase in those killer cells when we have an orgasm. Mm. It's good for our heart. So we have a little HIIT training, 5 or 3 minutes masturbation, the orgasm. It's like a 3-minute HIIT training. It's amazing. And all of that, I don't know if you've noticed, but I've noticed it. After an orgasm, I'm glowing. It's like, here I am. And that makes us feel good, doesn't it? So it shows
definitely. When I see, definitely, when you're having a lot of sex, in my relationships, then I'm kind of like, wow, definitely I feel glowing and the skin feels really good. And that's really interesting, that statistic. So it's recommended that so for men, it was 21 times a month that is recommended for orgasm.
For women, 3 is the minimum, so at least 3 times a week, and which then for 4 weeks it's 12 times.
So that's quite a bit less than for men, though. Interesting. I mean, I don't know why.
Yeah, but for men, the benefits are that the prostate cancer, because the pipes get cleaned, so the chances of prostate cancer get reduced by a third, and the erectional dysfunction. So it's really medical for them, helpful to also last longer.
And so, okay, so there's a question in the chat here, which is, what about, can you replace masturbation with sex? Would that be the same kind of amounts of times, 21 times a month for a man, or 12 times a month for a woman? Is it equivalent? Is it equivalent, Anna, or is it something different?
Well, I would say it's not equivalent, because what we want to achieve is an orgasm. So if you have 21 times or 12 times for ladies, sex plus an orgasm. So if you have every time an orgasm, do it. Then you can change it to just sex, but have the orgasm. So the orgasm, the climax, that's what we're going for.
Okay. So then, yes, the answer to that is yes. Paola wants to ask a question. Let's get Paola unmuted so that she can go ahead. Paola, you can unmute.
Well, you already answered the question, because I wanted to ask how that looks for women. So it's already done. So yeah, all good.
Thank you. Thank you. So I've got some other questions also for you, Anna. I mean, I just think it's so great to talk about this, actually. I definitely, in my own personal life, there was nobody that I talked to about it. I couldn't, my mother never talked to me about sex in this way, like just kind of matter of fact, this is what happens. It was just, it was so hidden. And my experiences with, even some of my closest girlfriends, actually, they're not comfortable to talk about sex, and orgasms. It's like, it's a really kind of taboo thing. It's like, it's also equivalent to some money issues, actually. I've noticed too that can be a similar area that people don't like to talk about as well. So I think it's wonderful to talk about it, but why is it that masturbating is so empowering?
Well, like I said, with my client before, so it helped her to reconnect with her body. And it also helps because I talked to another client and she hated her body. When she looked in the mirror, she thought, I'm ugly. And she thought that her husband thinks the same. So she didn't want to trigger sex in any way because she didn't want to show off her body. And by using masturbation, again, as a tool, it helped her to rediscover, to move away from just the looks of her body, but more of the functioning of her body. That's coming back to that, that the body is merely in that situation a sensational or sexual object that you can use to your expense, how often you want to. And that takes away the focus on how do my breasts look, how do my bum look, whatever. And it helped her tremendously to move forward, to get away, to discover, let's call her Vivian point 2 or 2.0. That's the right one. And also, what I personally love about masturbation is the independence that you get from it. Because you can do it almost any time. Is your partner there? He might want to join you, but if he's not there, you can just, if you feel it, you can have your orgasm. You can experience the pleasure of your body. So it gives you that independence. And with that also comes the control, that you are in control. You don't need someone else to know how to do it when you want it, and exactly with the pressure, with the whatever you need to reach an orgasm. You have all the control. And you find out what you like. And that feeling of independence I love it personally.
I do too. I do too. I mean, really, it's a journey, I think, and I love what you're saying, because it's actually giving people permission to experiment with their bodies. I think for men, I don't know, maybe Michael, who's now joined us on the call, and I'm sure you can have something to say about this when you come to share, Michael. I don't know whether this would be true, but this is my experience anyway, that, masturbation for a man, it's like incredibly obvious. It's like, because the man's sexual organs are on the outside of his body, but because for women, they're inside us, there's much more, as you said, Anna, mystery about it. And I certainly didn't know anything about my own sexuality. I knew that certain things felt good to me, when I was, quite young. I kind of discovered it by accident when I was very young, but that was just only, the whole experience of learning about my orgasm and learning about masturbation and then learning about sex with somebody else was really a process of, I think I was so indoctrinated by all the old Queen Victorian ideas, in this country, in the UK, of sort of being proper, and, that you weren't even, that women weren't allowed to have those kind of feelings. That's how it felt to me. So I think it's wonderful to talk about it, Anna. And I do have some other questions for you actually too, which is, you've mentioned it a little bit, but if you could just kind of perhaps encapsulate what the health benefits are for masturbation.
Yes, of course. Yeah, I go through it again. So better sleep, it calms you down. So I have that sometimes that my mind is just doesn't quiet down. Have a little masturbation time and your mind will quieten down because you feel sleepy. It makes you relaxed. It relaxes the whole body. And I'm just looking over here because I don't want to miss anything. Stress relief. So it reduces the stress that comes with a good sleep, because when you are stressed, you can't sleep, you have all of that stuff going on in your mind, and you relax. The cardiovascular benefits. So when you masturbate, when you have your orgasm, your heart is pumping. And like I said, that's a little hit workout in there, in having your orgasm. The other thing is it keeps you young. So it's good for your whole body, for the blood flow, the pulsation, the skin gets a little glow. It also increases the killer cells in your blood. So many women use this, oh, I have a headache, don't want to have sex now. It's not an excuse anymore, because men now learn that when you have an orgasm, the headache goes away. Or if you just have an orgasm yourself, the other way around. If you have a migraine or a headache and you don't want to just pop an ibuprofen, have a masturbation, have an orgasm, and your headache will clear. And then particularly for men, like I said, this 21 times a month, it's very good to decrease the chance for prostate cancer by 1/3. It helps you last longer because you're practicing more. The more often you do it, the better you get, the longer you last. And it's also very good for to prevent erectional dysfunctions.
Yeah, great. Yeah. One thing I just thought that I would share, and perhaps you might have something to say about this as well, is how, particularly as I've matured in years, and what's great is that as you get older, you can still have absolutely orgasms and a really great sex life. It doesn't stop when you're young, which is what I had thought, but I have since discovered that no, I can still go have a really full sex life, which I do. What I wanted to just say was, and I wondered whether this is just my experience or maybe it's an experience for other women too, is that, quite often, as you say, it's like the headache syndrome. It's like, I'm tired, I've been really busy all day, I don't particularly feel in the mood for having sex, so that was the place that I was in. And my partner really wanted to have sex. He really loves it. He loves sex. And so eventually I would be persuaded to do it just because he loves it. And, I was blessed with a really great lover who always made sure that I was pleased, that I, had an orgasm. And every single time ever, I have always felt better after having had sex and having had an orgasm. So I don't know whether that's just me, whether it's quite often that women don't particularly necessarily, it seemed like, I need my man to be the one to kind of activate me. Would that be something that you've heard before, Anna?
Oh yeah, very often. And I have to say, from the women that I talked so far, you're a lucky one that you have that passionate lover that knows exactly how to get you into the bedroom and knows what to do then. Because oftentimes other women don't have that. So they use that, I'm not in the mood, because they don't get the orgasm.
Right.
So for them, it's the other reason, that why should I do that when I don't get a reward for it? Absolutely. But for that, yeah, and that what could help is then masturbation. So if you include masturbation or self-masturbation, or give a hand to your partner into the sexual activity, that could take away we have to do that, now he's getting an orgasm and I don't, and this way you both can have the orgasm. Yeah. But coming back to your question, that's, women don't have that many stimulus. So everyone gets stimulated by something different. Yeah. As we know, there are a fetish out there. Yeah, I met a guy and he was just crazy about my shoes. Whatever shoes I was wearing, he was crazy about it. And just the look at the shoes, he was wrong. And when I look at my partner and he has this specific look, this cheek one, it's like, oh, let's go. But other times he could be there in his suit and looks amazing and like, nah, that doesn't do it for me. So it really depends where you get your stimulus from. And men are more open and easier to stimulate in the sexual region than the women. So it's okay. It's okay.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, gosh. So just getting some comments coming in now. Let's just have a look and just see what they are. What about when you haven't had an orgasm for a long time and intimacy is connected to a past relationship?
What's the question?
I think the question is that that sex was connected with a previous relationship that now is no longer. And so this particular woman hasn't had an orgasm for a long time because it was she had that with a previous relationship. So what would you
then get that pocket mirror out, squat down, have a look at your beautiful vagina, and then try what works for you. It's never too late. It doesn't matter how long you haven't had an orgasm. Fact is, you can have one, even if you had the last one in 10 years or yesterday. You can have one now. Just needs probably just some trying out what works for you, what doesn't. And it could be that maybe your mind is then playing a trick on you to say, yeah, but you shouldn't do that without a partner, or with him it was like this, that you start comparing. Tell yourself that it's okay, that you are allowed to pleasure yourself.
That's really helpful. So, I mean, I think that all the women on the call here and all the women who are going to listen to the replays, just take this on board, that, you have permission to experiment with your bodies and to have pleasure and to have orgasms. And I've got a question here too. I didn't get the point about the different stimuli between women and men. Could you explain it more, please?
Well, men generally gets easier stimulated. So a man looks at a woman and he gets stimulated, the stimulus is there, and his erection starts growing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he gets excited and he wants sex. But for women, you probably heard that women take longer to get to the stage of having an orgasm, that sometimes women take 45 minutes to be in the same mood as the man who gets there within minutes. Yeah. And that's what I mean by that. It's for women, it's other stimulus, and sometimes it just takes longer and more stimuli to get us to the same level.
And so really, I think we could say, don't give up on us, men. Don't give up on us. Don't give up on yourselves. Just stay with it, because we will get there eventually. Sometimes it just takes us a little bit longer. Listen, you know what? This is such a fantastic topic. I could really, talk about it for, all day. And I think that it's so helpful for people to hear this too. Can we get some feedback here from those of you listening here? Has this been a helpful session for you? Could you just put some yeses or some thumbs up in the chat so that we know that we're I'm going to say hitting the spot, but that's a little bit, yeah. Has it been a helpful session? Yes, there's some yeses coming in and some hearts. Yeah, very helpful. People are saying, yeah, I mean, it's helpful for although you're talking about women's orgasm, it's very interesting. It's actually just so relevant for men to hear all this stuff as well, because especially it takes two to tango. Yes, thank you. Lots of thank yous coming in to you. So can we just finish off by just saying about your free gift, which is, I'm going to ask Alexandra, could you just pop that in the chat for everybody now? So you've got a thing called Think Confidence. Do you want to just say what that is?
It's a confidence booster. It's two tools that I love using with my clients, and they are easy to do and very, very effective.
And so if everybody follows this link, they'll be able to get to that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, great. Thanks, Alexandra. I put it in there too. Oh, I'm getting, somebody's just saying they've clicked on it and it's gone to 404 error not found.
Oh no.
She's going to try.
Okay. I will put the link again in the comments when we finish here. Is that okay?
You're going to go and sort it out, and we will be sending these out as well to all of you. All of the speakers, links, contact details, 3 gifts are all going to be sent out afterwards. And I'm going to put, that's Anna's website there that you can see in the chat now. So, and she will come back later. She's going to go and fix that link and come back and post it again later. So you'll be able to get that, and I will be sending that out afterwards to everybody. So yeah, so great. Okay, listen, thank you so much, Anna. It's really been such a pleasure to have you. Now, I'm saying that word, but actually, I really mean it. I love it because it's pleasure, sex is, and orgasms, and they're such a really important part of life. Given to us by life itself, and it's been really great to hear you sharing so openly. I think it's incredibly brave, actually. So bless you. Thank you so much for coming on today and sharing. And I really look forward to connecting with you again. And we'll do some more things. People are clapping you. Paola's clapping you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Okay, so I'm going to just stop the recording now, and just for a moment.